Benin is keeping inflation lower than most West African countries through subsidies, tax relief and price controls. But the government's measures are being criticized. People say high food prices are forcing families to skip meals and businesses are closing. Here's a report from Cotonou.
On the streets of Cotonou, Benin, hungry citizens are venting their rage on the government they blame for the crisis of rising prices and the lack of individual and trade union freedoms.
A hungry stomach has no ears. We have suffered so much from hunger in this country that we have ended up being exasperated. So at some point we had to raise our voices to let the current leaders know about our misery and our difficulties.
For several months, prices have been rising in the country because of the closure of the border with Niger, the country's main trading partner. The move followed a coup d'etat there in July 2023, and also because of the end of fuel subsidies in neighboring Nigeria, from where Benin gets its supplies for domestic consumption. In the heart of Cotonou's large Dantokpa market, shops are less busy than usual these days. The price of a kilo of corn, one of the country's most widely consumed foods, rose from 200 CFA francs to 450 CFA francs, before falling again to 400 CFA francs within a few days. A 120 kilo bag is now sold for between 33,000 and 36,000 CFA francs, compared to barely 30,000 CFA francs before. The increase in food costs in the small West African nation prompted Benin's labor unions to call for an unprecedented series of protests against the cost of living. The first was dispersed by police firing tear gas, and a second was banned by the authorities.
Everything has become expensive, and we call on our leaders to think of us so that we have a little respite. Even in our homes, we have problems because our husbands refuse to accept that there isn't enough money.
Neighboring Nigeria's naira currency devaluation and an abrupt end of a decades-long fuel subsidy have also impacted Benin's fuel prices and trade. The World Bank said Benin's economy in 2023 was still resilient despite the external economic shocks the country had to weather.
We will end up dying with all this. Otherwise, what are we going to do with this price increase?
The African Development Bank indicated in its forecast that the main risks to the economy are unfavorable variations in global cotton and oil prices. It projected the negative effects of climate change, inflation to rise to 2.8% in 2023 and 2.3% in 2024 as global oil prices stabilize. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.